So why are there bison in Golden Gate Park? Well, it all tracks back to the 1890s. American bison in North America were on the verge of extinction. They had been massively hunted for meat. They'd been massively hunted for sport. Tourists on trains traveling through the plains of North America would shoot from the windows of these trains and kill them on sight. Because they were near extinction, a massive conservation movement happened. A handful of men started gathering up the last remaining wild herds across the continent. You've got C.G. Jones, also named Buffalo Bill, gathering them up in Texas and Nebraska. You've got Michael Pablo gathering them up along the Canadian border of what today is now Alberta, Canada. And locally, we have a member of the Board of Supervisors named E.J. Molera, who started his own herd in the San Francisco, Monterey Bay area from one bull bison he bought off exhibition on Market Street. An unlikely beginning to a local herd of hybrid bulls, but so it was. In February of 1891, the park commissioners decided to join this conservation movement. They bought one bull from C.G. Jones in Kansas, and Wells Fargo and Company paid for the transportation out to San Francisco. And this bull arrived for the price of $350, and his name was Ben Harrison, after our 23rd president. And soon thereafter, they gave him a lady friend named Sarah Bernhardt, named after a very prominent actress of her day. So a lot of these bison have B names. We had Ben Harrison to start, we had Sarah Bernhardt, which was his lady friend. There was also Bill Bunker, which was named after a curmudgeon-y San Francisco Bulletin editor, which is pretty amazing. You have one named McKinley after William McKinley. You have one named after President Theodore Roosevelt, and that was John McLaren, the superintendent of Golden Gate Park's favorite bison, which I tend to agree with. And then from there, in like the 1980s, they start naming the bison herd after the British royal family, according to Shakespeare. And then in the 1990s, they renamed a lot of these buffalo more appropriately after Native American traditions. And today, some of the oldest members of the herd today are named Betsy, Bailey, Buttercup, Beatrix, and Bambi. Now, while bison have been in Golden Gate Park since 1891, these specific bison have not been here since 1891. Over time, different bison were brought in to help keep the bloodlines fresh. Like for instance, in 1903, wild Buffalo Bill Cody was here in San Francisco for his Wild West show, and we traded one of our unruly bull bisons for one of his supposedly better trained bison that turned out to be actually quite a HE double hockey sticks raiser on his own. And then in 1908, we brought in a new fresh group of bison from Yellowstone Park, which had its own conservation movement happening. At one point, the herd's population was decimated by an outbreak of bovine tuberculosis, which was really sad, but there has been dedicated work to keep the bloodlines fresh and to keep increasing the numbers of the herd. So in 1984, Mayor Dianne Feinstein received a gift of 2 bison from her husband. That started the current iteration of the older part of our herd right now. And then recently, in March of 2020, we got a new crop of baby bison. And all 5 of those, again, were another gift of the Feinsteins. They paid $50,000 for these 5 little gals and saved them from a ranch in Northern California where they were destined to be buffalo steaks. Ironically, we're literally hunting for bison right now. They keep moving away from us when we try to get a better shot, and so we're now booking it around the bison paddock to try and find a better angle. So when Ben Harrison and Sarah Bernhardt were first brought here in 1891, they weren't brought here in 1891. They were at the site of the original bison paddock, which was over near where the Academy of Sciences is today, somewhere in between where the music concourse is and children's playground is. And they moved here in December 1899. Now, part of the arrangement for the new paddock was that they built these, what I like to think of as penalty box corrals, where they put the unruly bison. Today, all of the bison you see behind me, these are all ladies, because they're a little bit more tame than the bulls. So this is before San Francisco had a formal zoo, and really Golden Gate Park functioned as the zoo. At the time that we brought the bison here, there was a bear pit, there were elk and deer, there were donkey rides, there were all kinds of animals here, including an aviary that was somewhere near the Conservatory of Flowers. They were in good company. In fact, they shared their first paddock with the elk and the deer. And in 1913, after they moved to their current site, they were sharing the penalty box with a very unruly elk that they named Jesse James because he was escaping the paddock so often. So you can still come see these bison in Golden Gate Park today, which is so super cool. It's just off JFK Drive, kind of near where the 36th Avenue and Fulton entrance into the park is. The San Francisco Zoo formally manages this herd, even though they're not technically in the zoo. It feels like you're in the great outdoors. It's a real connection to this really cool part of American history. And right in our own backyard in San Francisco. Oh yeah, just one more thing. These are wild animals. Don't try to talk to them. Don't try and feed them. Not that you really can, but like be respectful of that. Because, fun fact, bison can run like 30 miles per hour and they can jump some crazy amount of feet as well. And sometimes that makes them an escape risk. And in 1924 in July, they did escape. 25 bison went buck wild through the Richmond and the Sunset districts over one whole evening. Residents in both neighborhoods called park police, but they didn't know what they were looking at. And so park police got these calls that said, hurry, there's a buffalo. No, it's a cow. No, it's an elephant on my front lawn. And they had to go round them all up. So one crazy night that the local newspapers had a real good time with in their headlines until they were safely brought back in. So that's my fun favorite bison trivia.